the plot. I have just come up here after not being here for a few days. My little brother has been over and he lives abroad and I haven't seen him for 2 years, so he's been over for a week. He's gone back now, sadly. But he's been here and I haven't been up here as a result. Mark has been up and watered when it was necessary, and yes, some things have really come on and it's great. Some things aren't looking so good, and although I have just popped up to see how things are and to do a couple of little jobs, I think I'm going to have to spend a bit longer here today than I anticipated. So let's have a look round and I'll show you the good, the bad and the ugly. So my aubergines that are in the greenhouse have been watered and they're not too bad. They're absolutely horrific infestations of greenfly actually that are stunting the growth of the flowers, I think. So I don't think we're going to get any aubergines basically this year, which, considering I've got so many, is a bit of a shame. I will show you the ones in the polytunnel in just a second. Chilies are looking okay, could do with the water. But let's go in here because this is where the bad stuff is. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to water them, but I'm not really sure they're going to bounce back. And look, my hanging basket tomatoes! Honestly, I'm gutted about that. Absolutely gutted. He did come and water 2 days ago, but I mean, yeah. Anyway, my tomatoes are getting out of control. Side shoots need doing, and look at this one. This one has bent over and needs supporting, and then it started growing up the other way. So, yes, and that one, what's that one? That one is Gardener's Delight. So yes, I need to get tying them in. We've got some tomatoes coming though, which is great, but they are falling over with the weight. So we'll get that sorted. These ones really need staking now because they're growing really well and growing funny because they're not supported. Yeah, so my tomatoes in pots are fine. I didn't fill them fully up because I can top them up. But in good news, Miami Magus has flowered. As has a straw flower. Yay. Anyway, yeah, I've got a cucumber to harvest down there, but I think somebody else has been nibbling it as well. So yeah, not so good in here, but not a disaster. I mean, I'm going to water those and see if they'll bounce back. I'll do that straight away. That'll be my first job. Right, so it's looking better, but some of them, as you can see, have grown wonky, very wonky, because of well, they've been trying to grow towards the light, but they've fallen over. So that's what happens when you don't tie them in and keep on top of the tying them in. So I've got to this one, and I've never really researched this one because the growing instructions were for a cordon or an indeterminate tomato, which are these types. So the ones that you side shoot and that will just keep growing up and up until they get to the end of the season, and they'll just get taller and taller. And I pinch out the tops later on in the season. But this is growing in a bit of a different way, and that's because this is a semi-bush. So it's a determinate that grows like a semi-bush. Instead of growing like a proper full bush, it will grow semi-bush. They annoy me because they're somewhere between. But it is determinate, so it will only produce a certain amount of flowers, and then that will be it. They'll stop producing and it'll be done. Now, this is super marinade or marinade, whichever way you want to say it. So what I'm going to do, obviously there's a lot of this. I don't know what this is. There's quite a bit of spurge in here because we do get the petty euphorbia, which is a kind of spurge. And so I'm going to get all this out. And I'm going to prune this slightly. So I'm not going to take any of the flowers off. I'm just going to take some of the bottom stems off. I don't like growing Determinate tomatoes in the polytunnel because they don't get a lot of airflow and they can be more susceptible to blight because of the lack of airflow. That's why I put the other one first in the field, which is that tallest one there, on that side and gave it a bit more room around it. I should have done my research, but the plant list, is what I said in one of my recent videos about labelling on tomato plants, is not good enough. It doesn't explain enough. You've got to assume that everybody that grows them might be doing it for the first time. Make it easy. If you make the instructions really straightforward, then people are going to have more success. They're going to keep up to it. We want people to garden. We want people to understand the joy of nature and growing plants. And so let's make it easy for them. Let's make the instructions understandable. And, you know, give them a chance to have some success, because nothing keeps you going with this more than having success. So, yeah. The ones in the pots are doing all right, though. Still need to get canes in for these. Need to get canes in for these as well, because that one there, Blue Beauty, is growing wonky. So we'll have to see about that. Might send Mark up to do some more stuff for me at some point. But yeah, okay, let's get cracked on. Time to build this. Well, it was all going so well. I should have known. The screw holes, we've got to a certain point and everything's gone together really easy, and I've got to a point where the screw holes just will not line up. So I'm going to need something to make the holes bigger. So I don't have anything here that can do that. I've been trying with an old rusty drill bit I found in the ground. So sadly the arch is not going to get built today. And I'm running out of time, and I really want to harvest some broad beans and some peas as well. It's Friday, 2 days later, and I'm very glad to say that the absolute drenching that I gave the tomatoes and the aubergines has worked, and they have bounced back. There is some damage, and hopefully some of them might be stunted, some of them might not do well, but I did have more than I needed anyway, so hopefully if I get them potted on today, I'll be able to salvage some of them. I've just been working on that arch because I gave up on it because the holes are not aligned. So I had an idea overnight. I thought, put different poles together and they might line up. I've done that. I've built it. They still don't line up. So I've still got two of the screws that I can't get in. But I've put it in place, and Mark and possibly a couple of his workmates are coming up to the allotment at lunchtime, and I'll get him working then. So yeah, that's what's happening. I want to weed around the tomatoes today because that stuff's grown even more. I want to give them a really, really good soak because I may or may not be here over the weekend, so I want to get them absolutely drenched. I want to get the tomatoes that are good potted on into bigger pots so that they've got, you know, they're not in tiny pots, so if I'm not here over the weekend, they'll be fine. Could do really to get my chilies and aubergines potted on as well, but I've only got one bag of compost, so, and actually it's open, so I don't know how much of that I've got left. Still haven't got the gooseberries potted up. We're not going to get anything out of them this year, that's all right, but I'm not bothered about that as long as they're potted up eventually and they do okay. I want to get lots of weeding done. I want to get tidied up as well. You know, I've left lots of things left around and it's a bit messy. So, and there's lots and lots of weeds coming up along the edges of the beds, and I'm looking at it now. We've got lots and lots of petty spurge, which is a euphorbia, or petty euphorbia. Petty spurge? Yeah, euphorbia. That I just get everywhere, and I can see loads of it coming up. It's actually quite pretty, you know, it's not horrible, and it's easy to get out, but it's everywhere. So I get that up and to see what other jobs there are to do. Once Mark's finished the arch, if he can get that finished for me, I will then plant the baby boo squash and the 2 borlotti beans that I've got to grow up it. I'll plant them out, and then I'm just going to go around weeding as best I can in the beds as well. I think that's, yeah, probably some more peas and beans to harvest as well today, broad beans. So let's go look at the tomatoes and I'll show you the arch. So the aubergines look a lot better than they did, and the tomatoes. I don't know if that end one there is going to do anything now. The leaves, the flowers have died out, but you can see some of the flowers are fine on some of them. Some of them have got tiny tomatoes. That's not necessarily a good sign because they're too small really. And then these ones are okay. Again, we've got some damaged leaves, but you know, I can cut those off. Yeah, I think I really should have harvested this by now. This is one of the Ladiva ones, so it's a very small cucumber. They are the Carmen. Oh, look at that. I've not done a great job watering that. I've exposed its roots. Sort that out. Get these canes up possibly today as well. But yes, this side really is a priority. The melon's growing really well. That's put on so much growth since I planted it out. I'm still not sure whether we'll get anything from it. That needs support now as well. Get canes in these. Yeah, we'll try and get as tidy as possible before Mark comes up. Oh, celery's not doing so well, look. Oh, it's all right though, isn't it? Look, it's little bits are fine. Yeah. And the arch. So you can see that there's no support on that side there. It's very, very tall. It's 2.4 metres, but it's obviously out of the ground as well. So I want him to push it down into the ground further as well. But I'll do that once it's completed. Okay, so Mark's been up and he's put the last rung in for me. That's all done. So I'm all ready to put the baby boo squash in. I'm really happy the courgettes are producing now. They're doing really well. I've harvested a couple. I've also just potted on some of the totem tomatoes. They've actually survived. So I've left these ones out for now because I've not got enough compost. So I chose the best ones. These are the cherry falls and they're doing okay. Obviously they did dry out, so some of the flowers have died off now. But I will still pot these on. I just need to get some compost first. I harvested some strawberries for Mark's workmate. And there were a lot that had been nibbled at by slugs and stuff, so they've all gone on the floor to be taken away by the bugs. And look at this, one of my other dahlias. This is Sebastian, looking lovely. Skyfall is still very nice. That one hasn't fully come out yet. Poppies are amazing, and I've noticed one of my plot neighbours a couple of plots down has got absolutely tons of these poppies all over the plot. In fact, there are more poppies than anything else on that plot, I think. Yeah, sweet peas. Look at the sweet peas though. Harvested loads the other day. And they're just all over. I can smell them. It's warm but breezy today. It's kind of humid, so I can really... they smell amazing. Yeah. I love the sweet pea bed. So this idea was one that I stole from Danny at Grow Up Channel, and I am so glad I did. Obviously, they're kind of hanging over the edge, but do you know what? I don't mind. It's kind of messy. I kind of like it. There's marigolds, French marigolds down at the bottom there, and lots of spurge and other unwanted plants. But yeah, love it. You know, if you remember, I did sow some dwarf French beans in here, and I don't know where I sowed them now. I think they're around this edge, because I think I expected this arch to not be quite as wide as it is. But that's fine. It's completely fine. So I'll do it, and I'll sow some more if I disturb any, or move them. I might be able to move them. There's more coming up in this bed. The other one that had garlic in, those grew really quickly and germinated really well. This one is taking a bit longer, but this one's got new compost on top, and I don't know if it's acted as maybe like a bit of a mulch, because it's actually not getting very weedy in here either. So I want to grow this up one of the supports, so I'm going to plant it here, I think at this side, because then what I will do is I will plant the other baby boo at the opposite side, and then we'll put the Belotti bean on the other end opposite each other as well. So let's get started. So I didn't just sow 2 of these, I did sow 6, but I can't remember the variety, so I can't look up whether it's a climber or not, but I think I'll have the seed packet somewhere, so we'll have a look when I get home and see if I can figure out what it is. So I'll do the other side, and then we'll just give them a water. So obviously I've got 4 courgette plants in this bed, so it's already quite full. but these are going to grow up and over, so hopefully it won't matter. Baby Boo is a small variety of pumpkin, essentially, and it produces white fruit, which should look really nice, which is, I think, why it's called Baby Boo, like boo. Well, this bed is very compacted, actually. Oh, spiky courgettes. So yeah, hopefully before these courgette plants reach their full size, hopefully the bean and the other squash, the Baby Boo, will get up to a bigger size and be up and out of their way before they fill the space. That's the goal anyway, so we'll hope that happens. A bit of weeding while we're in here as well. Okay, this might be counterproductive. Might be very counterproductive actually, but I've taken the nets off all the brassicas. I need to weed them, but also there were quite a lot of cabbage whites inside, so they're getting taller and then the nets are not wide enough, so I am going to order some nets for next day delivery, some wide ones, and be back tomorrow to net these fully, because look what's going on under there. Yeah, so yeah, they need to be netted. This is my broccoli or calabrese. Brussels sprouts, they were definitely not high enough anyway, which I knew. So I've done that. I've given everything a good water. I've planted the squash and the beans there. Look at the kohlrabi, they're looking so nice. Quite a few. The variety is purple Vienna. But again, you see, we've got some nibbles been happening. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to go through all the leaves. It's going to take a while. And we're going to do that. But that'll be me back tomorrow now, because it is time to go home. This is proof that you can't always win them all. This sweet pea bed is amazing. I absolutely love it. Let's go have a look at the other sweet peas and see how they're doing. Aren't they just stunning? This bed is not working, is it? I mean, the verbena are dried out. The marigolds, I kind of expected the slugs would have them. The calendula isn't doing that well. I'm hoping it's going to bush out at some point. The self-seeded stuff's doing really well, but the stuff I've sown is just pretty poor. We've got some cosmos are doing okay, but not brilliant. Bees dive bomb in my eyes, that's nice. That leucanthemum there is really not happy. I have been watering this, but we've not had much rain at all for England, so just it's not living its best life. And I do have some more antirrhinums at home, but I'm kind of loath to put them in if they're just gonna end up looking like this. I can't come every day and water loads. The council have asked us to reduce his water usage as well, because it's costing them a fortune. So, and it takes absolutely ages to water it all by hand. It's just taken me and Mark a long time, but it's done. So yeah, anyway, little one's been a bit grumpy at her grandparents' house, so we're gonna go and rescue my parents. And then there's some jobs to be done in the garden at home, and I want to show you the disaster we've had. So it's a few days later and I'm back in the garden, and do you remember back in May my Wisteria, my 5-year-old Wisteria that's never flowered for the first time, and I was so excited about it. It looked so nice and I was properly giddy. Well, unfortunately, in this really strong wind that we had a few days ago, it snapped right at the base. It was hanging over, if you remember, over this way, and it snapped. Now, we have dug it out. I know that it might have come back from the roots. We've dug it out because, to be honest, it probably wasn't in the right place. It was causing a lot of shade in that corner, and it would have only got bigger. It was leaning. I was trying to grow it as a standard, but it was leaning over. I wouldn't have taken it out by choice. However, I decided it was probably not the best, because these sleepers are slightly bowing as well. So yeah, it could never be permanent in here, because these sleepers are never going to be permanent. You know, they've been here 8 years now. I actually wish they weren't here. I wish the garden just, you know, the borders were just in the ground. Like, I mean, it creates a nice environment in some respects. It's nice free draining, you know, things do pretty well in here. But yeah, it's just a step to the wall for my kids, unfortunately, as well, which is a bit of a problem, particularly for my littlest. So anyway, I had a few plants that didn't have a home yet, so I've put some cosmos in here, and this echinacea. Yes, echinaceas, they're all growing this year. Not all very well, because we haven't had a lot of water, but they're all surviving. But that's the key as well, I think, because we haven't had a lot of water. We haven't had a lot of slug damage, so, you know, it's some you win, some you lose, and you know, the disadvantage of a drought is the slow growth, and the advantage is lack of slugs. So anyway, at the back there is a verbena bonariensis. Now I think I'm probably going to end up planting a rose or something here, maybe a nice medium-sized shrub rose that will sit there, or a small climber and an obelisk maybe, I don't know, something that will sit there. And while I'm here, I'll just show you that some of my self-seeded plants have grown in the field. The field was cut and baled this week while my washing was out. I'm not complaining really, it was lovely to watch. So yes, we've got some achillea or yarrow. We've got these fennels that grow back every year, and they look amazing today. It's so like bejewelled with the raindrops, because we've just had a really fine but consistent rain, and it's that fine rain that soaks you through, and it did. It's drenched everything. I wish it carried on actually, because it's the perfect garden rain where it soaks everything but it doesn't flatten everything. And we've got a Naughty Melton pastels in there as well, which is lovely. I hate the smell of the fennel. I can smell it really strongly. I really dislike fennel smell and taste. I think I've said that before, but I love the look of it, and just, it looks like it's covered in diamonds. It's beautiful. Yeah. So I'll show you a quick video of the garden. I'm going to do, the next video is probably going to be quite heavily focused on the garden. But I've put lots and lots of annuals in, because things haven't been growing, and they're doing all right. They're doing all right. So we've got quite a lot of flowers. These Shasta daisies are looking lovely. I forget the varieties. I'll have to look back on my old videos to see. This one's really nice. It's like lemony coloured one. So yeah. So hopefully those will fill out in the gap there. And down here is probably grateful for some light, because I've got an achillea under there that's not doing well. It's still alive, but I think I need to get that poppy out and just give it a bit more room. There's some cosmos, there's some more fennel self-seeded growing at the back there. There's another Naughtia macedonica self-seeded down there. There's this rose campion, which is doing really well, and the verbena bonariensis. This salvia has been amazing. It's rose marvel. It needs deadheading, and then we might get some more flowers from it. That's another echinacea. Some trailing lobelia and mesembryanthemums in there. So antirrhinums, scabia, small lobelia. Now this was a bit of an experiment, so there's another, that's a different pink salvia, but it's still lovely. Some phlox at the back there. And my Acer is not loving the conditions, but hopefully these plants will give it a bit more shelter from the wind and sun. But these are straw flowers that were left over in the tray, and I just planted them out as a big chunk. Even though plant spacing is supposed to be quite generous. And I'll see what they do. They're going through the salvia now, but I'm just going to let them do their thing. We do have some little Nigella. The Nigella Anami hasn't done well, but we do have a little bit. Doing okay. There's some stalks in there that need to be dead-headed. Some cosmos. Cosmos are growing a bit funny. We've got some fasciations. Yep. Perennial cornflower. This Veronica is looking lovely. Geraniums, more antirrhinums, my Brunnera, another verbena. And then I've just cut back this geranium, so it's left a bit of a space. Now my Salvia amistad is doing really well here and has survived over winter. It is it's kind of a half hardy almost. It's not fully hardy, so I thought it's survived. So what I do is I plant out a couple more salvias. They look a bit scrappy, they got a bit dry. I've got one there and I've got one there next to the Acer. So I thought maybe they'd come back. That one's too close to the Acer. I might move that in a little bit. They might come back. That Acer's been doing okay, but now it's getting a bit scorched. What they do in this garden, I'm just going to see if we can at least get it to survive. I've got a couple more Acers here that still need to be planted out. This is my newest one, By Who. It's really, really lovely, and it's actually surviving because it's getting blown around a lot. Yeah, I'll show you a more in-depth tour in the next video because I've got a bit of a plant haul to show you, and we've got some failures, some successes in the front garden, in the cottage garden in the front as well, so I want to show you that. But yeah, so thank you so much for being with me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and give me a like and say hi in the comments, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye for now.